Hello and welcome to the Red Jacket Club. My name is Andy. I'm here with my friend Brendan, and this is where we talk Cardinals baseball. Today is April 12th. The Cardinals finished their series against the Rockies today, and they ended up with a series win. So everybody's happy at the moment. We'll see how things go if the happiness stays. But right now, Cardinals are working on a 5-7 season as of recording this. And things are going pretty good for the Cardinals after these last two games. It seems like we were questioning whether they would start to click, and things look like they're clicking. But before we get too far into that, I do want to ask, if this is your first time visiting the channel, please go down to that little button and hit subscribe. It helps us out a lot as we cover the Cardinals throughout the 2023 season. And like this, share it with friends. If you have friends, if you're an avid listener, I know that we get kind of consistent views, around 10 views an episode. If you're one of the 10, share it with some people. Get us up to 15. See how that goes. We'd really appreciate it. So that's out of the way. Brendan, how you feeling? I know that you are running around busy as hell, but how you feeling? It's baseball season. Our baseball season is getting close. It's baseball everywhere. What's going on?
Yeah, man, I love it. Yeah, like you said, baseball is everywhere. Still in the middle of coaching. We got about a month left of that, which I don't want that to end because I have a blast doing it. And then, yeah, we start about 2 weeks after the high school. And so it's baseball after baseball, which I wouldn't have it any other way. My fantasy team is in full force. I mean, I check that thing every single morning. So, yeah, I'm fully into baseball right now, which I don't know. I don't think my girlfriend likes that very much, but it's something that I love, so she doesn't mind it, I don't think. But no, anyway, yeah, you said the Cardinals are looking pretty good. You know, that's a good adjective to use right now. They're not elite right now, but they're pretty good. You know, so we'll get into the recap of this series in a little bit, but yeah, we're looking all right.
Yeah, and to look at the standings this morning and see that the Cardinals are at the bottom of the NL Central, I don't think we've started a season at the bottom of the Central in a while. So it's pretty surreal to be in the position that we're in. I do want to give an update because most games, I think a lot of people had travel days today. If I look at Baseball Savant real quick. No, yeah, Houston played Pittsburgh. They won. The Brewers played today. They did lose. And did who else played today? The Cubs lost too, so that's great. It's good to win when everybody else loses. So the Cardinals are not at the bottom of the NL Central as we record this. They are in fourth place. Still weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Reds are in last right now.
Brewers are at the top. They got 8-4 record. Pirates 7-5, who we go on to play next. The Cubs are 6-5. The Cardinals are 5-7, and the Reds are 4-6. So it's weird. We came into the season thinking that this would be different, and it's not really all that different, or it's not really all that good, or what am I trying to say? I don't know. Forget about it. Let's talk some Cardinals news. The Cardinals have had some injuries to afflict some players going into the season early, and it sounds like some of those things are starting to turn around. Nootbaar is reported to possibly have a rehab assignment start here soon. He's been afflicted with a jammed thumb. But Jim Hayes was saying on the broadcast today that the Cardinals could send him to Double-A Springfield as early as tomorrow. I don't know when he's going to go. But he's getting close, so that's good because I mean we already have a whole bunch of outfielders out, and we still have so much depth. So it's good that we'll have more depth. But Nootbaar sounds like he's almost back. Wainwright sounds like he's almost back. He's been throwing some bullpens. And I wanted to ask you, Brendan, will this return some balance to the rotation? Or is it just going to kind of muddy things up? Will this make things better? I don't know. What are your thoughts on Waino when he comes back?
I'm definitely going to be holding my breath when he comes back because we don't want to see Waino in a bad position ever. Just, I mean, if he was like a rookie coming up then and he does bad, it's whatever. Send him back down, get some work in, you know, kind of what we did with Liberatore. But this is different, man. There's no sending Waino down. There's no moving him to the bullpen. Like, he's got to do well. You know, I don't see us putting him in another position other than being a starter, unless he just really blows it. But yeah, I'm definitely holding my breath, hoping that he does bring that balance back to the rotation. And we all know that he has has the potential to do that. We just got to see.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm holding my breath as well because, as much as I love the guy, as much as I really want him to finish out his last season in the big leagues strong, it's just his velocity is still down, and coming into the season hurt, especially with his lower half being hurt, doesn't really prove positive for the starting pitcher. But let's all hope that everything goes well. The only other thing, unfortunately, injury wise, is Carlson. He was diving like the center fielder that he is for a ball. I think it was in game two or one. I don't know. But when he came up, he had a stiff neck. He kind of shook it off, but at the same time, he ended up going day to day, and they're just kind of holding him in a holding pattern so that they can see whether or not that exacerbates any other issues or problems. Neck problems never fun, especially for sports and everything like that. But hopefully those two come back to make the outfield even harder to position, Nootbaar and Carlson. But I'm really liking Carlson this season. I think he's been playing center field really well, and at the same time, I think his bat has been exorbitantly better than last year. So, hoping that those injuries, they all seem mild, which kind of stinks because. I mean, like, what do? You give them a couple of days, but a couple of days in baseball is kind of like a lifetime. You can miss 3 or 4 games in a couple of days.
Yeah, I will say I'm trying to find some stats real quick. He has looked a lot better at the plate, but I do think most of those are against lefties, which, yeah, well, he's got 6 at bats against lefties and 14 against righties, and he's still doing a lot better against lefties in a very small sample size. But no, he has looked good, and if we have to sacrifice some offense for the elite defense that he does bring to center field, I think we might have to take that until Nootbaar comes back. Then I could potentially see them platooning in center field, just having Carlson hit against lefties and Nootbaar against righties. It just depends. I mean, we have so many options at this point that something will work out,
Yeah. Yeah, and it always helps when the other third wheel and Tyler O'Neill starts mashing the ball like he did today.
Yep.
But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Since we got the news out of the way, I don't think there's any other news. If you're aware of anything, you can go ahead and chime in. But
No, I think of.
then let's talk about some Jordan Walker. He didn't do a whole lot in this series, but he did do something pretty spectacular. So we'll just talk about him. Let's go ahead and get right into our segment, Jordan Walker Watch. Jordan Walker has tied history. He ties Eddie Murphy, which is hilarious, a Philadelphia Athletics player, with a 12-game hitting streak to start his career. It's the first time in like 111 years that a player's ever done that. And although his bat was quiet, it was just singles mostly. He did score a couple of runs in the series. It's still pretty impressive and incredible even that he's been able to be so consistent going into the 2023 season when he hadn't even played in AAA at all. So I'm really happy for the kid. It's just insane. I know he was coming up to his last at bat. I believe it came in the 9th inning, and he even broke his bat. And it's like, oh my God, is the ball even going to get through? And when it eventually did, there was a big sigh of relief. I know, at least for myself, but I feel like from a lot of Cardinals fans.
Yeah, well, just watching him come to the plate at this point, man, he's just one of those guys that you gotta watch. Like the presence that he brings into the plate. You get similar feelings like that when you watch Arenado and Goldschmidt come to the plate. You just kind of have a feeling something's going to happen. And even though I think he just had 1 hit in each of these games, right? Yeah, just
I
one
think
hit.
so, yeah.
1 hit in each of these games. It's nothing to really write home about, but being that consistent as a rookie and the approach that he brings to the plate, it's just a matter of time for those multi-hits to start coming because he still hits the ball hard. It's not like he's striking out a ton either. So, yeah, every episode I'm just saying, keep doing it, keep working, and he just continues to impress up there.
Yeah, even with the hard ground balls, they're still getting through. He's getting on base, and that's all you can really ask for from a kid who has no big league experience. Just get on base, especially with a kind that's got wheels. He got on base today, and after he did, he stole second, and then he got knocked in, I think, by Goldschmidt. So he's just got all the tools, and he keeps doing it day in, day out, and no matter what, you like you said, you can really count on him, and you don't want to miss an at bat.
Yep, yep. That's all I got on him.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, there just wasn't a whole lot that he did in this series. But hey, when you can start the season with 12 straight hit or 12 straight games with a hit, I mean, who else is going to do that? Nobody else is doing that.
What's do you know the record for just
If he gets
hitting
another one, if he gets another one tomorrow, he breaks the record.
for
But
like all time though?
I don't know about all time. No.
Okay, because they've been saying like under 21 years old, and that's always a weird
Yeah.
caveat. I would like to know to
Yeah.
start your career. What's the record for that?
Baseball's full of caveats. You'll always hear Donovan's the first person to use his pinky toe in order to get onto base. And so it's crazy how baseball just completely pigeonholes statistics. But at the same time, he is under 20 or under. Whatever it is, no, it hasn't happened in 111 years. It's pretty substantial that it's happening. So, but with that, we will start talking about the series that was ended today on a very high note. And I'm going to toss it over to Brendan here. He's going to give the quick recap of games 1, 2, and 3 against the Colorado Rockies.
All right. So our quick recap. Game 1 on Monday, we have Matz taking the mound against German Marquez. And what do you know? The Rockies get on board first in the third inning. The Cardinals battle back each time that we were scored on. However, it was not enough in the long run as we lose the game 7-4. Matz ended up throwing 5 2/3 innings with 6 earned runs, which seems to be the magic number, which we'll get to in game 2. Marquez ends up leaving the game early with forearm tightness. I think no structural damage there. Gorman and Burleson each went for extra bases. Zack Thompson lets up an unearned run, so he is yet to give up an earned run in 2023. Another caveat. Yep, not as big, but another one. Stratton, my guy, throws a scoreless inning in the 8th, and they just need to keep using him. Moving on to game 2, what an exciting game this was, even though I was sleeping at the time all the magic happened. The Cardinals have a late game rally in the 7th to tie the game at 6. Goldschmidt walked. That scored, I think, Walker and Arenado doubles to clear the bases. Love Chip Cary's call on this one. I really like Chip Cary. And then we end up scoring 3 more in the 9th. Gorman hit that go-ahead home run. Goldschmidt singled and O'Neill singled in a run as well. Ended up winning that game 9-6. Unfortunately, it was another poor outing from our starting pitching, with Mikolas only going 5 innings with that 6 earned runs. And the hard hit balls just kept coming from Mikolas in the 5th inning. It looks like they are on everything. Bullpen looked great. Edman had a big game. Walker extended his hit streak to 11 in that one. But in his 12th game hit streak, which was today's game, and I don't have a script typed out, so it's going to be a little rough. But we ended up winning today's game 7-4. The biggest thing to take away from this is finally we can breathe with Flaherty on the mound. He goes 5 1/3, only lets up 1 earned run, and believe it or not, he only has 1 walk in this one and 6 strikeouts. Zack Thompson makes an appearance here as well. He goes 2/3 of an inning with no earned runs, so he continues to carry the streak. He is on fire right now. Drew VerHagen let the Rockies come back into the game, tied at 4 actually, even though the bullpen shut him down right after that. And Gorman hit that go-ahead home run once again today. So that was super exciting, and that's all I got.
Yeah, perfect. I know that we've been talking about it a lot, but the pitching, it just still continues to be a problem. I was looking at it because I was interested. We've lost 5 games where pitchers have let up 5 or more earned runs. There hasn't been a game where they've given up more than 6, which I guess is good. But most of them, Mikolas let up 5 in his first outing. Then Woodford 6 in his first outing, or I think it was his second outing. Mikolas again 5, Matz 6, Mikolas again 6. Like, it's crazy what's going on, and I wanted to ask you because I was thinking about it, and I had heard somebody brought it up about a different team, but I'm interested to know your perspective on this. Do we think that it's the MLB rule changes, that being the shift going away, pitch clock, rushing pitchers? Do we think that's what's causing this problem, or are we doing this to ourselves? Are we just missing the strike zone, or are we giving up bad pitches? What do you think's going on there?
Well, I definitely don't think it's the rules. I think that's an easy excuse to use. I think it's just like, I don't know, man. I just think we're getting, I guess, unlucky in a way. I don't know. I'd have to really dig into it. But my question to you is, yeah, we've given up a lot of runs, but where do you think we rank in team ERA right now?
Team ERA?
Team
Well,
ERA.
yeah, I think I just listed off over like 30 earned runs there. So I gotta say, pretty well. We just went over this. It's either high or low, whichever one's worse. I think we're
So,
pretty bad. Yeah.
so let's say 30 is the worst.
Okay, then I think we're probably sitting 25.
25. So we're sitting in the 19th spot right now, which
Okay.
is better than you would think, of course, because I would have said the same thing, maybe 26, 27. But yeah, so my point being is, yeah, we haven't been great, but we're still not the worst, right? Like
Mm,
there's good teams in the bottom. There's the Phillies are down there. The Orioles, they have a good pitching staff, kind of. The Marlins, though, they have really good pitching staff. They're down there. So I really just want to attribute all this to early season. I don't know if it's jitters. I don't know what it is, but I think we're gonna be okay. And I there's a lot of people reacting. That's why I don't like to get on Twitter too much because people really overreact. Say, see, I knew we need pitching, which yes, of course we would like to have more pitching. Who wouldn't? But right now, I really believe that we'll be okay.
yeah, I mean, to bring it back to my question though, I agree with you. I just wanted to know whether or not you agree with me. I don't think that it's the rule changes. I
No,
think
I
we're
don't think
doing it to
so.
ourselves.
Yeah.
I think honestly we're not making the pitches, and then we're getting unlucky because when Matz does make a good pitch, he'll throw a breaking ball that is below the zone, but somehow the opposing team gets a barrel on it and it just flies. And again, then you could say maybe the shift, if it were there, would have stopped the play. But I'm glad that the shift is gone. I do think that could possibly be causing some of the high earned run games. But at the same time, there are a lot of pitches, sliders, fastballs that are hitting middle, and then they're asking, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. I think we're getting unlucky. No, you're just leaving bad pitches in bad spots. Like,
Hmm.
that's what's so frustrating to me. And the fact that most people are saying that it's just pitching, our pitching sucks. No, our pitching doesn't suck. They're just performing poorly now. Like,
Yep.
when they do make good pitches, they are good. When they're
Mm.
making these bad pitches, they're bad. So they just need to make more good pitches. It's really that simple. I didn't think that it would be, but you never know with the internet. They just kind of overreact.
Yeah, they just need to play up to their potential, and maybe
Yeah,
it is just early season jitters. They're just expecting almost too much of themselves. I mean, I don't know, we have a solid pitching staff, and by the way, Matthew Liberatore is going off right now in AAA, so maybe we'll see him soon if we
maybe.
continue to see struggles. But yeah, we are definitely doing it to ourselves. I don't think there's anything else to blame.
Right. Yeah, and because of that, there really wasn't much to talk about in that first game. I mean, the pitching just really failed, and the only other big, I guess, controversy was it's weird to watch the effort, quote unquote, from Ali Marmol when it came to that call in the bottom of the seventh inning, when it was clear that as day that Contreras tagged out. I think it was Blackman on a little spitter of a ground ball back to I think it was VerHagen.
Yeah.
It was clear as day that he got tagged, and it's the bottom of the seventh. It's a 2-run game. Why are you not automatically challenging there? Even if you lose the challenge, what difference does it make when it's the bottom of the seventh?
Yeah, that's one of those things, man. I don't like to call managers out, but it's like if you're gonna call players out, then we should have the right to call you out.
Oh yeah.
There should be no hesitation. If you think that his foot was on that base, or even if he probably had a clear view, just freaking challenge it. What are you gonna lose? So yeah, definitely it was too much of a reaction of, oh, hold on, I gotta wait for our whoever reviews those videos. I don't even know. I would like that job. That'd be a fun job. But yeah, definitely should have challenged that.
So it's just that's the other thing of like doing it to ourselves. Like there's so many things that the Cardinals have been doing to get to this, well, now 5-7 record, but at the time it was a 3-7 record after that game. And there's just so many like mental mistakes that's what's causing me to freak out. Like it's some of those things that you're like, you're a big league ball club. You were one of the best big league ball clubs last year, and you weren't making as many of these mental just boo-boo errors. And so that was pretty frustrating. To move right along into game 2, where all the excitement was, we talked enough about the pitching, but finally we get a hit with bases loaded and 2 outs. I was texting my brother. He texted me. He's like, what do you think's going to happen here? Arenado's coming up. I was like, well, bases loaded, 2 outs. Our batting average is like way below 300. I was like, we're likely going to get out of this situation, or the Rockies are going to get out of this situation. We're going to go to the top of the inning or bottom of the inning. And it was a surprise. I was surprised, even though it was Arenado, but he shovels one into the corner against his old team and just breaks the game wide open. And it started to feel better when these late inning at bats started to collect and show up. Like you mentioned, Goldie gets the late inning walk, which was a great at bat. And then O'Neill hitting with runners in scoring position, and Gorman with the late inning homer felt so much better and so much like my Cardinals that I like to watch.
Yeah, my favorite thing about this game was just Gorman's home run. Still wish I was awake for it, but after watching the highlights, that's just huge for him. And he came in late in the game. That was his second at bat since he came in for Motter a little bit earlier in the game. But if we can have him, even on his off days, stay focused, come in and have a huge home run. I mean, that was massive. But another important thing about this game was that I mentioned a little bit in the quick recap. Every time they scored, we scored. Oh, no, that was the first game. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, just disregard what I said. That was the game of Edman going off. I mixed up my notes here. So, yeah, Edman also had a big game. I think he was a triple away from a cycle, actually.
Really?
Yeah, so double, home run, single. So, yeah, I think he was a triple away. So, pretty fun, but no, just good game overall besides Mikolas, obviously. That fell apart really quick.
It did. But then we go into game 3, which was today. And like you said, Jack Flaherty continues to pitch, at least based on what his ERA is, really well. He did only hold himself to 1 walk, and you could hear him with a little bit of a sigh of relief in his post-game interview saying that, at least I didn't walk 6 guys today. And it was his first time pitching in Coors Field. So, like, think about that going into this game. You've been pitching your whole career and you haven't pitched in one of the worst ballparks to pitch. And then you're coming in not being able to locate the zone. You'd think that would really mess him up, but he came in and pitched really well. He did end up giving a first pitch homer to Jerks and Profar,
Yep.
But at the same time, sometimes you just need to get one out of the way and settle in, and that's what he did. That was the only earned run that he gave up, and the offense kind of handled it after that. So Tyler O'Neill hit a 461-foot straightaway to center field home run. That was something that I called out in game 2 on the internets. I was like, this guy looks terrible at the plate right now. His feet are shuffling all over the place whenever a ball enters the zone. It just did not look like he was locked in at all. And then right after that, his next plate appearance, he gets a late inning hit with runners in scoring position. He hit that home run today, and then he hit another laser up the middle for a single. So he figured something out, but up until then, he looked a little wonky. The only other thing that was pretty noticeable about this game, obviously Arenado had the home run, which is great. But Contreras, has been looking a little bit off at the plate. And by a little bit off, I mean 0 for 12, which is not good. He had 4 strikeouts in this series. He was 0 for 12 in this series. And even though he hustled out a pretty important ground ball to second base, that extended the inning for Gorman to get his go-ahead home run. It just doesn't look like the Contreras that, I mean, we all thought we were going to get heading into the season. Now, again, early, it's jitters, but he is rolling over to short a whole hell of a lot, and it's just kind of frustrating when you're needing him in that 5 spot right after Arenado and Goldie to really put a hurt on the offense or the opposing pitching.
Yeah, we still love Contreras, obviously. We're not taking anything away from him, but maybe he put a little bit of pressure on himself or something coming into the season. But then again, like, he struggled a ton when spring training started. So maybe it just takes him like a little bit to get ready or to get, I guess, the jitters off. But one thing I will say about him, other than I think his bat will obviously come around, so just give it some time. It really shows how spoiled we were watching Yachty catch for 20 years or however many years it was. Because Contreras he's fine defensively. I'm sure, he's better than the average, but like just the way he receives the ball compared to Yachty is so different. I mean, Yachty was, holy shit, man. Like, he was so good at just framing pitches and like knowing, first off, when to frame a pitch, how to frame it, how to just keep your glove in the right position. I mean, I never realized after watching Yachty every single day for my whole life, like how big of a difference he really made. Obviously, I knew he was one of the greatest ever, but man, it's crazy to see.
Yeah, Yachty was really the calm, cool, and collected catcher behind the plate, and Contreras has a whole lot of energy, which I like now that he's on the Cardinals, but I hated when he was on the Cubs. He just moves around so much, and it does kind of cost some pitches. Sometimes it does come in the Cardinals' favor, but other times his blocking ability, it's all over the place, but he is blocking baseballs. Sometimes they get by him, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah.
you're right; it is a little bit of a stark difference. And honestly, I've been pleased with his defense. The offense is what's been very surprising to me. But at the same time, I think he calls a good game. From what it sounds like, the pitchers think that he calls a good game, except for when they shake him off and let home runs go out of the park. But I think that there's room for error especially after coming to a whole new ball club, learning a whole new pitching staff. Like he's going to have some time, but it's kind of stinks that even when you go to the alternative, which is Andrew Knizner, you get an automatic out. So I think it's just a timing issue for Contreras when it comes to his issues at the plate, and I think that that's a quick fix. Hopefully that happens against a pretty, I think, hopefully easy team like the Pirates. But you never know, and you're right. It's pretty different watching the two just one season removed from Yachty. Watching Contreras behind the plate is pretty wonky.
Yep.
But those are the 3 games. They were pretty good. I enjoyed most of what happened in most of the games. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover before we wrapped up our long form recap?
No, nothing really stood out. I just like the fight that we brought to the table, mainly in that first game, even though we lost, a couple more runs on the board, we could win that pretty easy. No, just a fun series. I'm happy we took 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I said this too on Twitter, and we brought this up on one of our episodes, the schedule preview episode. The Rockies were a below 500 team, and the Cardinals beat up on below 500 teams last year. There's no reason that they shouldn't. That's why they're below 500. But it was pretty concerning once the Cardinals had just gotten a whole bunch of runs against them in that second game. I was hoping that the runs would stop and that the Cardinals would figure something out, and they eventually did. But they're going into another series where it's 4 games against the Pirates, which is another below 500 team from 2022, and hoping that this kind of snowballs into some pretty decent games coming forward. We get some series wins, and we take some games away from teams in the Central. that's always important as well. Let's jump right into our players of the series. I'm pretty excited to talk about this one because, I mean, what's not to like about him? He plays everywhere. We're getting so much out of him, and every time he's on the field, you can always count an out is going to happen because of where he's positioned. And I'm obviously talking about Brendan Donovan. I know that he didn't do a lot of offense in this series. He was 2 for 12, which doesn't sound great, but he did have 2 walks and provided 4 runs in the series, which is pretty stellar. Getting on base, scoring runs, always great. But he played first in the first game. He played left in the second game, and then he started at shortstop. And in each position, he made highlight reel plays. Like, it's crazy. And obviously, he won the utility gold glove, and he rightfully so. But it's just crazy to me how locked in and completely on he is every time. It's not easy to play one position in the big leagues, and this guy plays 3 very well.
Yeah, the value that Donovan brings, just the stabilization he has at the top of the order, mainly against righties. I think in lefties he doesn't typically hit leadoff, or even though I think he did. Yeah, he did. So yeah, he's been leading off for us every single game pretty much, and didn't do a ton offensively this series, but you can always just count on it, like a really good at bat from him. And then the value he brings on the defense is insane. He made that one super clutch catch in left field, and yeah, I mean, he just brings a ton of value. You can play anywhere, gives you a good at bat every time. So yeah, I really like Donovan.
Here's a question for your StatCast era
Okay.
stats. They were saying that catch was a 70% catchable catch, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know how they calculate that.
I don't know how they calculate that either, but I call
Yeah.
bullshit on that one. That there's no way. It didn't even look like it was more to center field, and it didn't even look like Tyler O'Neill was going to get to that. So
Yeah.
I don't know about that StatCast stat, but I'll let you
Yeah.
go on.
Defense has to be a. I don't know how they can like calculate that, because yeah,
Yeah,
that's weird, especially with how big the outfield is in Colorado.
right.
I don't know how they did that. I'm not. I haven't dove into the defense Statcast stats quite yet, but maybe I'll be there in a few years or something. But yeah, so transitioning into my player of the series. First off, some honorable mentions, man. I mean, Goldschmidt and Arenado. It's easy to pick them every time, so that's kind of why we're staying away from them. But they continue to be the consistent stars of our lineup. I mean, they're so damn good. But anyway, I'm going to go with my guy, Gorman. Once again, I think I picked him the first series that they had. So the main thing about Gorman, he did go 3 for 10, which is obviously really good. But he had a double and 2 home runs with those 3 hits. And those 2 home runs were go-ahead home runs. So the clutch home runs are there for him. I just love his approach. Another fun thing that I was looking at was his chase rate. He's in the 97th percentile of chase rate, which means that he is among the best at not chasing pitches out of the zone. And just, I don't know, I really like what I'm seeing from him. He's that lefty that we needed, that we thought in the offseason, oh, who's going to be the lefty that we sign? Because what Zalak said, we need a lefty, but I don't think we need one, man. This is the guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody kind of forgot about him when Jordan Walker started making noise. But he really turned himself around from last season. Defensively, he's a completely different player, which is really awesome to watch. I love him coming in at second base now because I have no fears that he's just going to bobble the ball or throw it away or get all antsy when a ball comes to him. He looks really calm and ready to play the position. Especially after transitioning over there when the spot got taken by a Nolan Arenado trade. And the other thing is his approach at the plate is completely different. He's much more patient, and he waits on his pitch. And even when he gets a nasty slider, like we saw him take deep in Game 2, he's still able to put a good swing on it. So he's not giving up on pitches. He's really focused, and he's able to really drive the baseball. And he's showing. I think he's got a 1. OPS. If you haven't said that already. And he looks like a player that we can count on this season, which is great, especially when we got a big young mix of guys and mix of young guys. I mean to say, and it's nice when the young guys are performing at the level that we need them to when we don't have a lot of veterans in the lineup. So
let me
that's
give
really
you
cool.
a fun caveat stat about those go-ahead home runs. So Nolan Gorman joined Stan Musial, Jose Cruz, and Albert Pujols as the only Cardinals to hit a go-ahead home run in the 8th inning or later in back-to-back games.
Nice.
A crazy caveat stat, but I figured I'd throw it out there.
Throw that 8th inning or later, and you get a lot of caveats. That's for sure.
I know. That's the funny thing. It's like not only is it back-to-back games, but it's also only an 8th inning or later.
Yeah. Well, the Cardinals come home to play the Pirates, and going into the series, the Pirates are sitting at a 7-5 record. The Cardinals are at a 5-7 record, so we'd like that to change pretty quickly. Could be pretty cool. The Cardinals could end up 9-7 at the end of this series. I believe that it's possible, but the Pirates are obviously putting together a lot of good games. Game 1, Montgomery is going to face off against Vince Velasquez. He's 0-2 to start the season, so that's a good sign. Jake Woodford is going to go game 2 against a former Cardinal, Johan Oviedo, excuse me. He's 1-0 to start the season. Steven Matz will try to bounce back versus Contreras. He's apparently 1-1, but he also has an 8 ERA, excuse me. And then Mikolas will try to figure something out back in St. Louis versus Keller, who's 1-0. So, I mean, the quick hit of things, not looking too deep into the Pirates pitching staff, is that they have decent records, but obviously we don't care about wins anymore when it comes to pitchers. So I'm hoping that it's going to stay consistent Pirates pitching and that we'll be able to tee off on them at the home ballpark. But what are your initial thoughts going into the series against the Pirates? Obviously, they're down O'Neal Cruz, so that's a big blow to them. Any thoughts on the Pirates coming into the 4-game set?
Well, this could obviously be a huge turning point in the early season of April. If we can get out of this series with 3 wins and at least be 500, 8-8, I think that would be huge. I think that's kind of what we need to do. That's kind of the goal, at least 3 wins. If we could squeeze out 4, I think that would be incredible. The main thing I ask is for a winner on game 2 because I will be sitting in left field. So maybe chirping some of the Pirates pitchers. Probably not. I'm not that kind of guy, but I've always wanted to. I've never actually done it, though. But no, just excited for the series. I mean, we should beat up on them. They don't really have a great lineup. The pitchers, you don't really know who they are kind of thing. But, yeah, so let's take 3, hopefully.
The thing that I ask for is that they win game 1. And that's only because looking at their schedule so far, they lost to the home opener. And then when we played Atlanta, we lost the first game. We lost all of those games, actually. Then we went to Milwaukee and we lost the first game. Then we went to Colorado and we lost the first game. I'd really like the Cardinals to set a tone with the first game against the Pirates. They obviously can. And with that, I hope that it really sets a tone for the whole series and allows for that 3-game win in the series. And it would just make the whole series a whole lot sweeter if we start off on a high note. With that, let's talk about some news from around the league. Brendan, do you want to give us some quick hits on the different things that are going on around the league? You can start with the Rays. I don't know where they're at, though. I'll check Baseball Savant if you want me to.
Yeah, well, the Rays are 12-0, I believe. I think they won today, which made them 12-0, maybe.
They're in the bottom of the 7th right now, playing in Tampa, and they're winning 8-7.
Oh, that's a fun game. I would totally tune into that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's probably on MLB.
I would hope it would be on MLB Network.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean the Rays are such a good team. Everyone overlooks the Rays every single year. You know, everyone looks at the Yankees. That whole division, everyone thinks about Toronto, but the freaking Rays, man. And guess what they're doing? They are bringing up another one of their top pitching prospects, which they seem to just be growing on trees or something because it's crazy. His name's Taj Bradley. He's supposed to be the next guy for them. So, I don't know, super fun. And, of course, Jeffrey Springs is going off for them. He was supposed to be like their 5th starter, and he's punching out 10-plus batters every game. Just ridiculous. Yeah, they just continue to be good.
MLB Network has. I'm sorry to cut you off. They have the Detroit Tigers and the Toronto Blue Jays on their network right now.
It sounds like a terrible game. Put the Rays on right now, but yeah, Rays gon' Ray. That's the saying. They're just gonna keep winning. And then the other thing is, I didn't even know this, but the Cubs extended Ian Happ for 3 years and $61 million. Ian Happ was a big trade target. There's been a ton of talks around him at the deadline for the last couple of years, and he never got dealt. After they rebuilt their team, sent away all their core guys, they were thinking Ian Happ would be next, but it sounds like Happ likes it there in Chicago, and he's just going to stay.
Yeah, and you know what? It really sucks for the Cardinals because he really beats up on Cardinals pitching.
Yeah, he does.
I don't like him because he's a Cub, but I do like him because he's good at baseball. He's another guy who kind of plays. He's more of an outfielder. Never mind, I won't say he plays everywhere, but he plays the outfield really well. And he's always hitting the ball hard. Whenever the only time I ever watch him is when we're playing them. But it's pretty great when established guys, especially who was there in 2016. He's the last one there from the World Series winning team. So that kind of sucks. But at the same time, you get to establish yourself as the veteran Cub, and he's there for the next 3 years. So good for him. Good for getting paid. And it's going to be another couple hard years for the Cardinals if he's in the lineup there.
Yeah, it's a good value, $20 million a year for him. That's about where Contreras' slot value lands, and just a good value for a good player. So, yeah, the Cubs are continuing to retool their team, and wouldn't be surprised if they are competitive in 2-3 years.
Agreed. I don't think there's much else to talk about. The Cardinals, we've oversaid it, but they go on to play the Pirates tomorrow. I'm pretty excited. Like we said at the top, there's just baseball everywhere. We scrimmaged this weekend, so that's pretty fun. I haven't hit since the last time I hit with Carlos, and that's been over a month now. So yeah. I need to get some work in. I'm excited to get work in. I'm excited to break out the new cleats, break out the new jerseys. Everything is it's starting anew and starting fresh, and it's all good, and I'm ready to go. So
you have the jerseys handy? We gotta break it to the.
You want me to pull one out?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Be patient.
Right. Pause.
Oh. There go the headphones.
There go the headphones. Used to be purple but then I realized that we look like Barney, so we changed up the.
You talking about the colors?
Purple? Yeah, we and you remember that brainstorming session we had in your pool? We were just like, what color do we want to be?
Yeah.
For some reason, we came up with purple, and that's like my least favorite color.
Well, we wanted to be
the Diamondbacks,
the early Diamondbacks, but we did not achieve that at all. Carlos
people said they liked it, but we just didn't like it.
I like those jerseys. They're just not fantastic. They're not as good as these. Carlos created these. I mentioned Carlos before. I don't know if people can see this, but there's the Vipers on the front. There's some scaliness on the side here that kind of looks like snake scales. There's even more scaliness on the side there. That's pretty cool. And then the number on the front has a little bit of scaliness, if you can see that. So,
back.
They're button down, which is something that I really wanted. I'm glad that we got that. They're Rawlings, so that's pretty cool too. And yeah, man, we're gonna look like a pretty fresh team with the jerseys.
If we suck, at least we'll look good.
But, I don't think we'll suck, but
no, we've been around 500 every year, and they're introducing the MVP and Cy Young awards this year, which makes me want to win MVP. I will say, I think I have a pretty good argument if they had it last year. I was all right. I kind of hit the ball around a little bit. So
are they taking defensive stats into account?
If they did that, then I'd have hopefully the Gold Glove.
If we're talking about catch probability, I'm sure you would have a Gold Glove. Yes,
I could definitely catch it with my nose. If anyone wants to know the story behind that, if you can tell my nose is a little bit crooked, then
we'll save that story for another time. Hopefully
okay.
we can save that for like a live episode or something like that.
All right.
But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm glad that we got the jerseys, and it's going to be good this weekend too, to get stretched out and throw and hit again. So baseball's everywhere, and we're happy that it's back. So let's end on a high note. Please like, share, and subscribe this episode. It really helps us out, like we mentioned before. If you would like to find us anywhere on social media, you can find us at red_jacket club, or just search the Red Jacket Club. We'll probably come up, hopefully. And glad that you have listened so far. We appreciate the 10 listeners that we get. We hope that you guys share this so that we get a little bit more. Continue to support us and find us everywhere and like the video. So with that, we appreciate you watching. We thank you all for coming. We thank you for joining the club, and we'll see you next time.